Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed, pre programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy, and joining me in everything is my life partner, Minna.
We almost never talk about politics on the show.
Yes, we try to stay away from politics.
And you know how when people say I don't talk about politics, and then it kind of keep talking about politics. That's what we're doing now. So with the current landscape of politics, we have a different leader,
Hmm.
and the way that we learn about leadership is defined by the people around them,
Correct.
right? So if we like the people around them, then you kind of see where they're going. But I guess the news is that we've been following RFK for a long time.
Oh, RFK has been amazing, and as a functional nutrition coach, a lot of the values that he's been talking about for decades actually does line up with some of the principles that I teach to help people with. So I'm actually very excited that he's in charge of the Department of Health and Human Service, or HHS. So it's been very exciting, and we've been seeing some very exciting things that's going to just change things for health and more for what's the transparency. I think that's a big thing. A lot of the things that I we talk about for health, a lot of people say, oh, that is just made up. Well, now you're going to start seeing a lot of these things we've been talking about in the last 3, 4, 5 years. They're science, and all this truth is starting to come out. So I'm very excited to see, finally people seeing the real science.
You know how in movies there's always this hero, right? And the hero's always been suppressed, and people were throwing obstacles at him. They calling him liars and doing all that. I feel like that's kind of what's going on for the last 4 10 years. And we've been following children's health defense for a long time.
Oh, for sure.
So that's been
Exactly.
going for a very long time.
Yes.
It's not just 4 years. This hero to us has been suppressed for a long time, and finally his heroism is coming out.
Exactly, exactly. So, for sure, we're excited about that. And, beyond that, what else do you think is sort of exciting that's been announced?
Well, part of what he's announcing is they're defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring the biological truth, right?
Mm.
So it's about genderism, it's about ideology. So you know, I think a lot of people know where we stand on that. But I was looking up, I was googling um, gender that Facebook
Yes.
uses. So
Mhm.
back in about 2014, 2015, they actually have 58 gender options.
Wow. Okay.
I
And
didn't even know that, and that's been going on for 10 years. And you can choose 10 from the profile, which is sort of got me there. I'm like, why would I have 10 different genders?
correct, correct. That can make things confusing in a lot of cases, right?
So it's that's why people are so confused about who am I supposed to be. I'm like,
Correct, 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 correct.
right? And of course, there's a lot of controversy about sports, right?
Correct.
Right. Riley Gaines, one of
Hmm.
the swimmers, like female athlete, she was very outspoken about keeping men out of women's sports. I think we're all for that.
Yeah, when it comes to sports, and not even going to talk about this whole gender thing, but it's just not fair if you have men competing in women's sports.
Or women
Right.
competing in men's sports.
Exactly. Because there's always going to be a biological advantage depending on what sport it is. So I'm happy they finally got that ban out, and maybe something good will be coming out of it. Maybe they'll have specific sports in those different categories, right? I don't want to label people, but I think this opens a lot of new opportunities. But more so, I think it's a win for women in general, right? Because today's topic, our guest, she's all about helping women expanding their businesses in every aspect, expand their lives, expand everything about women. And we were just looking, wow, it'd be sort of good to talk about all the different diversities in businesses that people get into, right?
For sure. So we're going to talk about that later. The other thing that RFK is bringing out is the some good way to say this, right? It's a vaccine, right?
Yes, yes.
And I think you actually posted a article from Yale University a few days ago.
Correct. And I don't know how many people actually saw it. I thought for sure Facebook was going to censor it, and of course, Mark Zuckerberg says he wasn't going to anymore. And technically, I don't think he should. This is actually coming from Yale University, and we've been saying this for the last 4 years, and a lot of people always knew my stance on vaccines. And once again, I'm not anti-vax. I am pro-life. I'm pro-choice. It's every about thinking about deciding when you're putting in your body. And even 4 years ago, I said, look, there's all these things that can happen. And the funny thing is, Yale just confirmed all the things that can happen, is happening, and continuing to happen. And, my thing is like, regardless of whatever reason you decide to get the vaccine, I'm not going to say people put a wool over your eyes, but whatever the reason you got it for during that time, okay, it's done. What are you going to do about it, right? Because right now they have studies showing that it wipes out your immune system if you do not get this toxin out of your body. And there are ways to test if you still have this toxin in your body, first of all. So that's the first step. And if it is still there, there are ways to get it out of your body. So, I'm just reaching out to everyone out there. It's like, look, it's okay. We all make mistakes, regardless if it was a good reason, bad reason. It doesn't matter. The choice was made. But do something about it. Don't hope it will go away, because Yale says, look, it stays in your body. Your body's going to continue making it. And as you continue making it, then all these conditions will come out. We're seeing cancer. We're seeing kidney disease. We're seeing all sorts of things. And it's because your body lost its ability to heal itself. So, you need to take it all out before your body can start doing the right thing again.
So, think about it. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to have our special guest with us today.
We'll be right back after this short message.
Hey everyone, it's Andy, and on this week's Chronically Healthy Life Biohacking episode, I'd like to talk about something called natural flavors. So when you see natural flavors on your food label, it may sound innocent, right? But it's really quite a sneaky term that could mean just about anything. So interesting fact is the FDA, they basically allow all food manufacturers to use it as a catch-all phrase as long as it has plant-based or animal-based ingredients to use to enhance flavor, but it's usually highly processed and loaded with additives. So why are natural flavors such a red flag when it comes to eating healthy? Well, first of all, natural flavors is not as natural as you may think. These flavors are often created in the labs, so not quite that natural, and they can be chemically identical to artificial flavors. Hear that? Natural, artificial could mean the same thing. Second thing is hidden ingredients. The term natural flavors, they often include hundreds of undisclosed chemicals, solvents, and preservatives that that aren't even listed on the label. So here you are, you basically eating chemicals, not that natural. Other things that you may find in natural flavors is MSG. And you hear MSG is this great flavor enhancer, but it can also overstimulate your brain. It can lead to headaches, brain fog, and some neurological issues. Maybe not so good, right? But what's scary with natural flavors is it jacks your taste buds. They basically got engineers to design these things so it tastes good. It tastes like whatever you want it to taste like. But more importantly, it makes you hungry, craving for more and more and more. And natural flavors. I know a lot of my vegan friends, they eat all these cheeses and stuff. That's his natural flavors. But what they don't realize is sometimes natural flavors may actually have animal sources, such as beef, pork, or dairy, to create the natural flavors. So here, you may be eating cheese that may not be as dairy or meat-free as you think. So how can these natural flavors cause harm to your health? Well, first of all, they can trigger allergies because manufacturers, they don't disclose all the specific ingredients in these natural flavors, and they could be causing sensitivities to certain foods like dairy, soy, or gluten, which may be in the natural flavors that you don't know about. And it can also cause metabolic disruptions. Many of these additives that they put into these natural flavors, it messes with your hormones, it jacks your blood sugar, and even can kill your gut bacteria. But more importantly, what I'm scared of with natural flavors is the toxic exposures, because they have all these chemicals and solvents and preservatives that do not need to be labeled as natural flavors. So let me ask you this. What's the best way to avoid natural flavors? First of all, you should find foods that are whole. If you take, if you're gonna eat a carrot, it's a carrot. You got celery, you got red pepper, you got tomatoes. The funny thing is, right now, I have so many friends and family that's going full vegan or vegetarian. They say, oh man, I found the perfect plant burger and it tastes like beef. Well, let me ask you this. Natural flavors taste like beef. Red flags. There's no vegetable that tastes like beef. So obviously, they're using chemicals to cause it. So if you want a beef, get some grass-fed beef patties. If you're not going to eat beef, stay away from beef. Just don't eat the patties. And like I talked about a little earlier, a couple of things is a lot of people are eating cheese, but they want to get away from dairy because they don't want to eat dairy. They want to stay vegan. Well, I have a friend that told me about this cashew cheese, and he said, oh, it tastes amazing. It tastes just like cheese. Well, if you want cashew, eat cashew nuts. Don't eat cashew cheese, because whatever they're binding it to make it look like cheese and taste like cheese, guess what? It's chemicals. And if it's chemicals, it's not good for you. And remember, you don't need to disclose these chemicals and preservatives. And when it comes to junk food, try to eat junk food that doesn't have natural flavors in it. It's like, everyone knows I love chips, but if you look at these ones, I buy from a local supermarket. If you read the ingredients, potatoes, olive oil, and sea salt, right? It's still processed food, but potatoes, olive oil, and sea salt. No natural flavors. Stay away from those crazy barbecue flavors, those insane chicken wing flavors, and everything else out there, because those natural flavors are not all that natural. Stay away from natural flavors. And if it is labeled natural flavors and it is labeled organic, check with the manufacturer. What are they actually using to make it natural? Stay away from natural flavors and eat whole and natural. I'll see you next week.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. Today we have our special guest, Sabrina Victoria, with us. Hi, Sabrina. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Sabrina, we're so happy to have you here. Since this is your first time on the show, would you mind telling our viewers what you do and how you came to do what you do?
Yeah. So I run a community for women business owners. How I came about doing that was COVID. So my past career was door to door. I've been running door to door sales predominantly my entire life. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So I've been knocking doors basically since I was 5. I did wind up leaving that religion and then ended up in my career doing door to door. I was running 6 different offices in 4 different states. And then obviously with COVID, we weren't allowed to be talking face to face. So my entire business shut down and I had to pivot, and I pivoted into the online space like a lot of people did. And the community that I run now, Her Nation Global, was born. It wasn't called that back then, but that's when it started. And it has slowly morphed into something really beautiful. It's, we have a media side with podcasts, panels, online events, a digital magazine. And then we also have an educational side where we help women create thriving businesses. We do masterminds, networking, sales workshops, business workshops. Because, women have passions. They have things that they're so passionate about, but they don't always know how to actually run a business to actually be seen and be heard and get clients.
So Sabrina, why just to women?
Girl, your guess is as good as mine. So I tell this story a lot. I think just women was given to me to challenge me. So I came from a male dominated arena. Door to door is men. There aren't a lot of women that do that. So I was running around 150 masculine, testosterone filled men, straight commission. It was very aggressive atmosphere. And the shift into online sales, I don't know, women were just gravitating towards me. I think it might have just been my vibration of maybe that masculine energy that these feminine women were coming towards me like, oh, she can help me. And then before I knew it, I just had a plethora of women around me. And then I'm like, I don't know, let's do some women stuff. I don't even know. And it just slowly morphed into what it is now. It's been very challenging for me. And I talk about this all the time because I'm working on my femininity now because of my new learnings. But I have had to do some transitioning from my mindset as far as the way that I speak, the way that I show up, the way that I am. And I've had to do some really heavy mindset work myself in order to really communicate thoroughly with women in business.
So why do you feel like community is such a critical factor in terms of women's success?
Yeah. Community, I think, there is nothing more important than community. So a little bit about me. As I said, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I got pregnant at 20 years old and I wasn't married. And I don't know if you know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, but there's strict rules around that. And I was actually what's called disfellowshipped. Yeah. And so I was pregnant, I wasn't married, and I got disfellowshipped. I lost my entire community. So everything, everyone I had ever known my whole life just disappeared, just like that, within 72 hours of me announcing I was pregnant. And I really recognize now more than ever how detrimental losing that community was to me. So I haven't met anyone since 2021 in my career, and I network consistently, that really understand the life or death in community. Like I had no one to turn to. I had no one to ask questions to. I am living paycheck to paycheck. I'm digging in my couch cushions for 25 cents to put gas in my car because I have no money and I have no one to ask. I have no one to lean on. I have no one to ask questions to. The suicidal thoughts, the postpartum, the wanting to leave my baby at a fire station because I had no community, no one to turn to. So to me, it's like you need to have individuals there for you to lean on, to ask questions to get advice from, to get feedback on what's going on in our head because we think that we're the only ones. And one of the things that I've really come to recognize is all of our problems are the same. They're all the same. There's
Sure,
not
we all have some kind of problems.
Yeah, but they're all like the same types of problems. They're all like, relationship problems, communication problems, money problems, and they all have very similar solutions, right? This is why they're huge companies that help with finances, huge companies that help with running a business. It's the same exact system over and over and over again. People plug into, they have financial problems. They plug into a system, thousands of people, and they all are able to get out of that financial issue. So yeah, so many problems, but also solutions. And if you're not plugged into the right community, you're just floating around like a hamster on a wheel, just spinning.
So how did you end up with a new communities after you left the old one?
I didn't. So I ended up in an abusive relationship with a man who completely isolated me. So that was 12 years of mental, emotional, sexual, and financial abuse. I actually just did a TED talk on it in 2023 on invisible abuse. I didn't know I was being abused. I didn't know anything about it. He had me fully convinced that I was crazy and really recognized, again, lack of community, no one to bounce ideas off of, no one to say, hey, this and this is happening. Is this normal? Like I remember asking myself all the time, is this normal? Is this how men treat their women? I had no idea because there was no one. He had me working for him. I worked for him. I stayed at home, had a child, had my baby, stayed at home. I had no outside living. Like I had no one to ask or inquire to, right? He was monitoring me 24/7. Everywhere I went, he went. So again, no community, right? So it wasn't until I did a Google search one day. So one day, 8 years into our relationship, I'm on the floor having a total mental breakdown, screaming and crying at the same time, like the kind where you feel like you're dying inside. I don't know if you've ever felt that before, where you're just broken to the point where you're just like crying isn't enough. So you're like screaming too. And I'm on the floor in a fetal position in the dark. I'll never forget it. I pulled my phone out of my back pocket of my jeans and I Googled one sentence. I said, why is my boyfriend bullying me? Because I didn't know any other vernacular other than the word bully. I'm like, he's just so mean to me every single day. And that sentence led me down a path of narcissism, empathy, codependency, and really opened my world to a community that was teaching me how to escape, how to get out, how to learn myself, how to say no, how to have boundaries, things I didn't know, right? So I was able to get dumped into a community of personal development, learning to set boundaries, learning about empathy, learning about codependency, learning how to manage somebody who had high narcissistic traits in order to get myself out of that.
So that was your, I call it a tipping point, is the point where you actually turn your life around. I guess my question is, you didn't have a community, right? But what happens if just you fell into a wrong community? What would happen then?
Absolutely. And people do. This is why people get stuck on alcoholism. This is how people end up doing drugs. This is how people end up in communities that are not good for them, not safe for them, how they end up on the streets because they fall into the wrong community. Somebody puts a hand out and says, let me help you. And they're the wrong person. They're the wrong person. And when you have nobody, right? When I was in that abusive relationship, people ask me all the time, when did you know? Girl, I knew day one. I knew day one, but there was nobody else. There was nobody else. He was the one that was paying attention to me. He would take me out to dinner. He would take care of me, right? But he was rude from day one. And in my head, I knew, I'm like, this guy is awful. He's so mean. But I was just so desperate for attention. I was so desperate for affection of any kind because I had been abandoned by every single person I had ever known within 72 hours. I mean, it's super dramatic. So when it so when it comes to building community now, that's all I speak on is, girl, if you are running a business, there are issues that you're dealing with. There are times when you want to quit. There are times when you say, this is awful. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm getting a job at the mall because this is just too hard, right? So being within a community of something that you're passionate about. Like you and your husband talk a lot about health and wellness, so it's like if you're in a world where you're sick and you're tired, the community around you is also sick and tired. You got to get out of that community or that mindset, and you have to plug into a community that's talking about natural flavoring, right? Like who you see natural flavors, you think natural from the earth, flavoring, right? But until you meet someone like you and your husband that sits here and explains that, like, hey, natural flavoring does not mean nature. Yes. But until you get into a community that can teach you that, again, you're just in a hamster wheel going around and around. It's the same with business, right? You think you're doing all the right things. You're just posting once a week. You're talking about it every once in a while. You have a little thing up and you think everything's good, but you're not making the money you want to make. You're not pulling yourself out. No one's calling you. No one knows about you. Well, what do you not know? There's something you don't know. So you have to plug into a community, and that community can then teach you things that are so simple, like natural flavoring, that if you cut that out and all you have to do is look at the bag and say, oh, this one says natural flavoring. Don't eat that one. Now you know that. So now all you have to do, right? There's a lot of things in the ingredient list, right? Which I'm sure you guys will go over, but that's one ingredient to stay away from. There's lots of them. But same with business, right? It's like, don't do this one. I didn't know that. I've been doing this. You have to do this one thing. I didn't know that. So the importance of community is just, we think we know all the things, but all of us are so stuck in certain areas of our life, not in all the areas, but in certain areas of our life. And the areas that we're stuck in, we need to seek out a community that does it better than we do it and learn.
So where would someone go and seek out the right community, and how would they know if it is the right one for them?
Yeah, that's one thing that I talk about is a lot is so many people don't seek out community because they're nervous that it's going to be the wrong one. You don't know it's the wrong one until you join, right? So there's obvious things like if the leader of the community shoots people and is a gang member, like maybe not the best, right? If they're going against like the rules of maybe your religion or the rules of me, right? So there's like obvious things. But when it comes to like health, like what you're saying here, join, immerse yourself, learn something. Then you can choose whether or not you want to stay or not. And you'll know it. You can feel. We have to learn as humans to listen to our bodies. And our bodies will tell us, hey, this isn't feel aligned. This feels misaligned. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling nervous in a negative way, right? And you go a few more times. If you're still feeling you're not settling, then that's something that's saying, hey, this isn't right for me. This is then you can leave. You can leave a community and you can join another community. I say that all the time about mine. It's like, just come in and try it out. If you don't like it, leave and go find another community. It's just puzzle pieces. That's all life is puzzle pieces. You have to just find little puzzle pieces for you and what's aligned with you.
So is it just one community, or do you do like several different communities based on different needs?
I think that you should be in several different communities based on your needs. We're parents. We're children. We have elder parents. We have issues with our health, our hair, our makeup, our lipstick, our branding, vegan, non-vegan, right? Heels, non-heels, clothing, books to read. What's your thing? Are you a knitter? Are you a reader? There should be a community for all the areas of your life that you're looking to improve on and areas of your life that you're passionate about. Cars. Obviously, your husband loves cars. Like there's communities for cars, how to do cars, how to have cars, how to take care of cars, what to do. You should join a community.
Wow. Lots to think about. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being. From the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Imagine a life where every day is fueled by energy, vitality, and purpose. Where age is just a number and your best years are always ahead. Hi, I'm Andy Nam, certified functional nutrition longevity coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. After reversing my own chronic health struggles, I'm now on a mission to help you live longer, stronger, and of course to look younger. I combine biohacking, cutting-edge nutrition, and stem cell technology to unlock your body's full potential. So no matter where your starting point is, I'm going to guide you toward a chronically healthy life. Ready to reverse aging and take control of your future? Connect with me today. Your journey to longevity starts here.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. Today we have Sabrina Victoria with us. Welcome back to the show, Sabrina.
Thank you.
So let's change the tone a little bit. I want to ask you, what would success look like to you?
What would success look like to me? I mean, for me, that's freedom. So, doing what I want when I want, that's it. I don't know if that's success for everybody, but when I think about
Whatever you feel.
what I'm doing and what I'm building, it's the end result is me being able to do what I love best, right? So one of the things I love doing also is podcasting. If I could just podcast all day, run panels all day, and just talk to people all day, I would freaking love that. If the back end of my business was just running on autopilot and I had people working for me and I had, people in all the divisions doing all the things, and all I got to do all day was just network and hang out and communicate and be on a mic and give value, that would be the best for me. That would be freedom for me. And being able to do when I want it to do it and how I wanted to do it. That would be the best.
No, that's awesome. So one of the hot terms, I guess, that's been flowing around in the corporate world right these days is emotional safety. Do you feel like it's a component in the thriving community of women? Emotional safety?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I think even more so when it comes to women's communities that are being built recently is giving that emotional support for individuals or women who are building their businesses. There is a lot of fear. There is a lot of imposter syndrome. There are a lot of limiting beliefs around whether or not they can do all of the things that they want to actually do. So, I think it's really important to get yourself out of your own head and in the room with other individuals that can give you other ideas, give you other ways of thinking, give you other ways of viewing life, viewing your business, viewing how the setup, the systems, the foundation of what you have going on in order to reach the next level.
So how would someone get over their fear of being judged?
How does somebody get over their fear of being judged? They have to do hard things. A lot of times people think that their confidence or their self-esteem is at where it's at because of somebody. This is where I used to be. I was like, oh, my self-esteem is so low because of my fill in the blank, right? 1,000 different people when I was a victim of like why I was so sad and depressed and why I had no self-esteem and why I thought I was ugly was because of whoever, right? That month or that year, whoever I was blaming. And what I've come to realize over the last decade or two is I wasn't doing anything that would create confidence. So I believe that confidence comes from courageous steps. You have to do courageous things that create fear. And when you do courageous things, like for instance, podcasting, I meet people all the time. Oh my gosh, you podcast. That scares me. Oh my God, how do you do that? Well, you have to get on a podcast. So you get on a podcast, you step into that fear, you do something courageous, you speak your story, you speak your power, you speak your truth. Then all of a sudden you get off and you're like, oh, I feel good. The probability of them getting on another podcast right after that is very high because now they have the confidence. Then their self-esteem goes up. So I always say, listen, anybody, this is for anybody. This isn't business. This is anybody who is sitting right now listening to Andy and Minna's show, and they're saying to themselves, I'm in the dark. I don't feel good. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I don't have a personality. No one likes me. I have no friends. It is nobody's responsibility. It is your responsibility. You have to go out and you have to do something right now, tomorrow, this week, this month that scares you, that makes you be able to not breathe, that gives you anxiety, and you have to go out there and you have to do it. And I'm telling you, if you do that over and over again, week after week after week after week, you're consistently stepping into something that scares you. Your confidence will rise. Therefore, your self-esteem will go up.
So if someone do get over the fear, they go to the community, get over the fear, they share their struggles, and then they become successful. Would they leave the community or did they stay in?
Well, then there is a giving back. And that's one of the things that I do actually talk about often is we do that sometimes where we join a community and we get everything we take from the community. Then we're at a spot where we don't need the community anymore. So we leave. Now, there's two tones to this. Yes, continue to grow. Yes, continue to expand. And I do also think to a point that you have to remember where you came from. And there has to start being some giving back as far as like, yes, I have grown out of this. And now I have an obligation to help some people be able to get to the next level. So that doesn't mean like take some sort of a program or some sort of a seminar and then just stay at that level forever and help, right? You want to continue to grow, continue to expand, continue to evolve, continue to learn new things, but also recognize where you came from and recognize that there comes a point where we do have to give back and we do have to help people that are maybe 5 levels down from us take a step up in order to be fulfilled as a human being. Being fulfilled as a human being, it's about giving back. It's not always about take all the knowledge, get educated, and then never give back. We have to, there's an ebb and a flow of learning and teaching.
So that's actually fantastic. In the community, you don't just, share struggles, right? Do you celebrate any successes along the
Yeah.
way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the main things as far as communities. You're around people who are truly excited for you, truly passionate about what you're doing and who you are. I was just having a conversation with another woman who's in my community. Her and I talk almost daily, and I was so excited a couple weeks ago for her, and I was just like, I was crying, like very emotional, just like, girl, I am so freaking. I've never had even met this woman. Like, it's a virtual friendship that we've created over 2 or 3 years. Never met her in person. She's become one of my very best friends. And I was like, girl, I am so freaking psyched for you. And I'm getting emotional. Like, this is you. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Like, go get it, girl. You got this. I believe in you. I'm so proud of you. And I'm getting like choked up talking to her over a voice message. And she messages me back, also crying. She's like, girl, I have never in my life had women, meaning she was talking about me, who gave a crap about my successes, who celebrated me like this. Like, I feel so grateful to have met you and to have somebody in my world who just is like here for me. And that's what my community, but what community in general, right? We're not the only ones, but community in general, if you find the right one, will celebrate you. They're going to celebrate your wins. They're going to celebrate your awards, celebrate you moving up, celebrate your promotions, and be so happy for you. Not jealous, not competition, right? Just good for you. That's one thing that I always find myself saying. Like, I see people doing things, making things like driving new cars, getting a new house. I'm like, dude, good for him. Good for her. I am so freaking excited for her. It's so funny because my boyfriend kind of makes fun of me sometimes because we watching sports. I'm not really a sports person, like, at all, but he likes sports. So we watching sports, and he'll be like, I'm not even rooting for a team, right? I'm just like there acknowledging. And there'll be like a really good play. And I'll be like, dude, that guy's mom has to be so proud of him. Like, I am so freaking proud of that guy. And I'll say it for both teams. And he's like, who are you rooting for? I'm like, I'm just rooting for just people effing winning. It's just so amazing watching humans, right? We just watch humans and we're just like, dude, that was awesome. Like, I am so proud of you. And I'm a mother. I have a 21-year-old son now, and he's my only child. And I just think of that. Like, when I see humans, I'm like, dude, your mom's got to be so proud of you. Your parents have to be so proud of you for the successes that you've had in your life. And I feel that. I feel that as a parent. I feel that as a human. And that's part of being in a community, is being able to have somebody at your side being like, girl, you go, girl.
So I think we touched on this a little bit. How does the community keeps you aligned when you evolve, right? Your definition of success is going to change. Your goals is going to change. Is there any long-term success strategies in the community?
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that I think is so important when it comes to being in a community of any kind is, let's take yours, for example, with health and wellness, is there's always new things happening, right? Like what was talked about earlier as far as natural flavors. That wasn't a thing 10 years ago. No one really, they're like, natural flavors is natural flavors. It's nature, right? And then it isn't until somebody dove in and was like, whoa, 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 with the natural flavors. What's going on here? What are these flavors that are natural? And they dove in and they recognized, right? So when you're part of a community that is continuing to evolve, that's the important part. Not just a community that is determined to evolve with the times. That's when you'll benefit, right? Because now you know that whoever's running this joint is going to continuously be giving you the up-to-date health, the up-to-date wellness on how to get to the next level. So again, community is important. Number one, to be able to know things, but number two, being involved with a community that is determined or on a mission to always be expanding and evolving with modern knowledge, not knowledge from the 1950s or the 1990s, The current year that we are in, they're digging into the books. They're looking things up. They're trying things out to see what's going on. And then as soon as they find out and they know for certain, okay, this is good, they let their community know. And they say, hey, listen, we just found this out. We're telling you, we just found this out. We found it out. We thought it was important to educate you, right? And now your whole community is educated. So yes, 100%. Your long-term success in health, in business, in leadership is also determined on the community that you're in and their mission to make sure that they're always giving you current, up-to-date information.
So what would, if there's one thing that you wish every woman knew about a community that would uplift and empower her, what would that be?
Ooh, one thing. You know what? I'm going to go with the opposite of what everyone here might be thinking. So a lot of times it's like, what can the community do for me? And that's what we've been talking a lot about here. It's like, oh, the community is so good. You got to get in the community because it helps you. I think to answer this question, I'm going to say you have the ability to be able to help other people. You know, we know so much and we also know so little. But that information that you know, there's women out there that don't know it. You know, so getting out there, sharing your knowledge. Hey, I know this. Let me share it with you. What do you know? Share it with me. Right. So I think also just acknowledging that we know things and it's our duty. It's our obligation to make sure that other people know that. You know, people that are coming into your community, they're learning new things. They now have an obligation to share it with their spouse, share it with their family, share it with their neighbors, share it with their community after learning it from you guys, right? So yes, community is great. We're learning so much. And also, once you know the things, now you get to share it. You have an obligation to share it with others.
That is refreshing. I love it.
Thank you.
So if someone wants to start taking action today and try to find or build out the right community for them, what are some of the steps that they can take like right now?
To join my community?
Or to join your community or to find the right community for them?
Yeah, so I would say write a list of areas of your life that you are not doing good in. And then also write a list of areas that you want to dabble in, that you appreciate. Like we talked about cars, we talked about knitting, you do dancing, right? So I think it's important to dive into things that you really love. If you're a dancer, you should dive into doing some dancing every once in a while, some dancing classes, join a dance community. But we also need to be working on areas of your life that are not doing so well. So if you're struggling in health, you need to be joining a health community. If you're struggling in your business, you need to be joining a community that works in business. And it can be niche down, right? If you're a dentist and you're struggling on getting clients, you should join a community of dentistry. Dentists that get together and talk about how they get clients, how they set up their office, how they have the lighting, how they have where they're getting their chairs from, right? So it can be niche down. It doesn't have to be just business. It can be niche down, just like health and wellness. You know, one of the things that I'm dealing with right now is perimenopause. I'm 42 years old. I've never had any issues with anything. Everyone around, all the women around me are like, oh, hot flashes, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, girl, I don't know what's going on with you. I have sorry, that sucks for you. And then literally just this week, I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I'm having freaking hot flashes. I'm waking up soaked. I'm waking up like 3 a.m. I have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? This has never happened. I did a quick Google search a couple days ago, perimenopause. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me right now, right? So health and wellness, yes, but now perimenopause. So what do you think I'm doing? I'm diving in. All the things I could hear. What are the communities I can join? Who can I be following? What Facebook groups can I join? Talking about perimenopause or menopause so that I don't feel so alone. So I don't feel like a freaking psychopath. waking up drenched in the middle of the night, like a crazy person. Right. So now I'm in the community. I'm learning new things. I'm like, oh, okay, this is normal. Oh, okay. I raised my protein. I need to alter my fiber. Maybe I need to take a few new vitamins that I had never even heard of before in order to make sure that I'm as healthy as I can be. I didn't know this before, but I know the importance of community. So first thing I do is let me join some places. Let me see what's up.
I'm so glad we have you here today, Sabrina. You opened a lot of, you actually opened my eyes to a lot of things. I'm so glad to have you here. So why don't you tell us how our audience can connect with you and join your movement, join your communities?
Yeah, of course. So I work with, like I said, women business owners. So if you are a woman who owns a business or co-owns a business or a side hustle, maybe you have a job, but you just have a little side hustle that you're working on and you just want some guidance, right? You just want to be in and amongst like, hey, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like floundering around. Join us. So my main website is sabrinavictoria.com. That's where I am, but the community itself is called Her Nation Global. And like I said, we do media, we have the educational piece. And one of the things down here on the screen that you and your husband very lovely put up is my networking call. I have a free networking call every Thursday at 1. And I'd love for any women here or men, my networking call is co-ed, to jump on and say hello and meet some other fellow online business owners who are working hard.
Thank you so much, Sabrina, for joining us today. I'm so glad you're here with us.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have Kids Corner with Christine.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Kids Corner. So this month of February, we're talking about love and play with kids. So this week, I'd like to talk about the importance of play for learning. You hear me talk about this a lot, but especially young kids, they need to play. It is completely artificial to expect them to sit at a desk 7 hours a day and learn. They don't learn that way. None of them do. They need to move. They need to play. They need to explore. That can take many different forms. Play for some children could be sitting and reading a book. Play for other children could be running around. Play for others might be building things with Legos. Everybody's different and everybody needs to find their own way. Kids naturally will just gravitate to what they want to do. And it's really important to let them, and as we talked about last week, engage with them, play with them as much as you can. The learning, I can't even express the immense amount of learning that goes on when you play with them. And when you connect something they're learning in school to play, they take off. They take off like crazy. They'll start coming up with things that you never would expect. It is so fun when they come to you and they go, look, or picture, and they want to tell you something that they figured out. It is really gratifying. And again, what a bonding experience, right? You sit down with them, stop everything, take a minute and go there with them. And you create a situation for your kids where they're learning, they're growing, they're bonding with you. They feel the love and they are going to just take that with them into adulthood. There's just nothing better. Play is the key. And adults, I'm going to keep saying this. We need to play too, whatever that looks like for you. I did improv classes for a number of years. And it was amazingly fun. I did it with kids. I did it with adults. And it is hugely fun and beneficial and bonding for the group. All right, everybody. Ciao for now.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. Oh my God, Sabrina was amazing. You know, I was in the back end and I was looking, I was thinking, we can't cut her off. We need to give her a whole hour session. It's like, she's sharing so much information, and it's so true. Community is so important, especially now where so many people are suffering in one part of their life, right?
Yeah, for sure. We talked about it a few weeks ago, right? When during your lockdown, you sort of went crazy.
Yes. You know, as extrovert, it's hard not being around people for sure.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Who do we have next week?
Next week we have Leandra Faye. She's gonna be a returning guest. We love her to death. She is a dating coach. So, definitely going to introduce her to Sabrina because I'm sure there's a lot of community that they can help with each other in that aspect. But join us here every Friday at 7 p.m. CST live, or you can watch past episodes at e360tv.com on the Vitality TV network or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/at Chronically Healthy Life. And of course, we are always looking for feedback. Email us at anything@chronicallyhealthylife.com or comment on our Facebook page because we love to hear more feedback. We love to hear what you want to learn. We love to hear what kind of guests you want to see.
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.